it was like a $250,000 ransom.
They organized like any other crime syndicate.
I was very surprised. I said, who would want to attack us?
The nightmare on Copper Avenue occurs shortly before New Year's in downtown Albuquerque. A gang of thieves orchestrated a clandestine break-in that was brazen, malicious, and costly.
They didn't break windows or kick down doors to gain entry, and they weren't after jewels or valuable art. In fact, the crooks who raided this office weren't even here. You see, the Copper Avenue break-in was a cyber attack. International outlaws hacked into a government computer system, hijacked its data, and held it for ransom.
It's being called a digital pandemic. This year, the damage done by cyber outlaws may reach $20 billion. In May, gas prices soared after the computer system of a major U.S. energy supplier was hacked. Colonial Pipeline paid the crooks a $4.4 million ransom to retrieve its data. And beef prices rocketed sky high after cyber bandits shut down the operation of a major Midwest meat producer. The ransom in this case, $11 million. These cases you know about, but there's another cyber attack you haven't heard before. The Mid-Region Council of Governments, or Mr. COG, is a government agency that operates the Rail Runner and manages federal funds for central New Mexico communities. The nightmare on Copper Avenue began December 28th last year.
My IT employees said that there was something that was going against our computer systems, and that they were having a hard time actually getting into the system and utilizing it.
Dewey Cave is Mr. COG's executive director.
Somebody had gone on the system and was basically taking charge of the system.
Mr. COG was under attack. Anonymous cyber criminals remotely took control of the agency's computer system.
I was very surprised. I said, who would want to attack us? What do we have that people would want?
The answer is data. Crooks changed passwords, gained access to files stored on servers, and scrambled Mr. COG's computer data, rendering it unusable. Because the Rail Runner is operated on a separate system, the train was not impacted. However, for the most part, Mr. COG was shut down.
But they send you a message saying that they are in control of the system and that they are demanding, at that time, money to give it back to you. In this case, it was like a $250,000 ransom. They wanted Bitcoin, and I have never dealt in Bitcoin, so I wouldn't know where to get that. But I felt like there was a lot of money. I said, there's no way we can afford to pay that.
Rather than pay the $250,000 ransom demand, Mr. COG hired an IT security team to retrieve data and free a computer system held hostage.
It ended up costing us a considerable amount of money, from my perspective, not $250,000, to recover and to implement systems in the future, but nowhere near what the ransom would have costed us. By the time we cleaned out all of our systems, all of our computers, and reset them. And by the time we put in a system that would protect us in the future, it ended up costing us a little over $100,000.
So who are these guys? The ransomware attack is believed to have originated from Germany. However, no one has been able to identify the crooks or their location.
Cybercrime is far more prevalent than it used to be, and recently I read it's in the top 4 crime industries in the world. And even just ransomware is now approaching trillion-dollar status.
Joshua Lieberman is president of an Albuquerque-based cybersecurity firm, Net Sciences.
So for the criminal out there, how easy is it for them to break into computer networks in this country?
It's quite easy, but it's not brute force. It's not through the firewall. It's always in a roundabout manner. It's by clicking or tricking people into clicking. Once they click and they start a compromise, they open a door into their network unwittingly, and there's no limit to the way we can be tricked.
In this case, the extortion plot failed. However, the damage was considerable. Cyber detectives were unable to retrieve Mr. Cog's hostage-held data. So taxpayers footed the bill to reconstruct files, clean servers, and install security software to prevent future attacks. Now, Mr. Cog got off relatively easy. Some victims are not so lucky.
It can cripple or end a small business. I mean, these ransomware demands, how many people watching this right now could pay that $250,000 fee and move forward with your business, even if nothing else went wrong.
Over at Mr. Cog, Dewey Cave thought his agency's computers were secure. December 29th changed all that.
We've implemented a system that monitors activity, traffic all the time, 24 hours a day, to determine whether or not somebody's trying to penetrate our system. And that's something that we didn't have in the past.
Most small businesses, small government agencies, do they protect themselves adequately from cyber attacks?
Emphatically no. Not at all. Virtually no businesses are adequately protected, and many businesses are not protected at all.
Larry Barker, KRQE, News 13.